Here's what's next up for Figma number 7. We're on our 7th assignment using Figma. It's about components. On Google Classroom, the only thing you'll find there is a handout, and the handout looks like this. I'm going to take you through all of this in this movie, but you're going to work on creating some components, and we're going to make what's called a base button. And I've got some instructions there, but I'll show you how to do it. Going to also create a next button, but I'll show you what I want you to do with that as we go through the assignment. Got to roll this on down, little blank spot at the bottom of the page. You're going to create a text component. And again, got some instructions there, but I'm going to show you in this movie what I want you to do. And then a second type style, a text component. Should have said, I'm sorry, that's kind of an error on that handout. This is text component. That should also be text component. And I said type style. It's really the same thing. It's similar, but terminology, right? Okay, anyway, let's go to work. All the instructions are on here. And turn it in, share it and turn it in when you're all done with it. Let's get back here and go to Figma and look at an example. Here's kind of where we're headed. Here's one that's already done. And I'm going to show you, you might be looking at this and thinking, well, why would you bother to do this? Why would you make components? And why do you have 3 of these here? And why do you have 3 of these in the middle? And why do you have 3 of these type style things over here? And why do you have 3 of those? I'll show you. All right, you're going to see in this movie. So I'm going to get back here to my drafts where I can get started. All right, let's begin. Going over to the right-hand side, hit the plus sign to make a new file. I'm going to go ahead and get the frame tool. I'm going to drag out a pretty good size frame. I want to leave myself some space to work with here. I'm going to real quick deselect, come up here, rename this. This is going to be components, and I'm going to call it components movie demo. So I kind of keep my projects a little bit separate. All right, so our first job here is what's called a base button. It's a button design that you might use over and over and over. If you were making an app, and you're going to have a lot of buttons in the app, you might design the button to kind of look one way and then just use it over and over and over and change what it says or whatever. And I'm going to show you, we can all drag, right? But there's kind of a better way to do it. All right, so I'm going to make my button out of a rectangle, and I'm going to, like I almost always do, I like to round them. I like to round the corners a little bit. By the way, if you would like more exact control, you can come over here and do things like say, well, I want the width of that to be exactly 250 pixels, and I like the height being 150 pixels. But you see what I mean? You can be very exact with this. With the roundness, maybe it's, I don't want it to be 26. I want it to be 25. Over here on the properties panel, you can work with all of these aspects of the button and get it to look the way you want. All right, let's assign this a fill color. So I'm going to come over here and give it I kind of like these kind of like off blues a little bit, kind of grayish blues even are kind of nice. But do what you want with that. All right, I'm going to make it a blue color. I am also going to add a stroke to it. I want to have a kind of a dark, no, I just changed my fill, sorry. Can I Control Z that? I sure can. Let me close that fill box. I want a stroke that is kind of a dark gray, and I'm going to bump up the stroke weight a bit. All right, so let's give it a stroke of, I'll get more exact there. Let's give it a stroke of 10. I'm going to put the stroke on the outside. You can do what you want with that. And then I'm going to add a drop shadow. I just kind of liked having a drop shadow. So I'll do an X offset of 5, a Y offset of 5. I have certain things that I like to use. I like about a 40 or 50% opacity. All right, so we're looking over here, and we're seeing, with my stroke color, I might just switch it to black. I like that a little bit better. Okay, there we go. So that's the base of my, that's the shape of my button and the colors that I'm going to use, and I've got a stroke and an effect on there. Now it needs text on here, so we're not quite done yet, right? So I'm going to take the type tool and I'm going to click on the button here, and I'm going to just say, you'll see where I'm going with this. I'm just going to make this say button. That doesn't sound fancy, but that's what I'm going to make it say. Now, when you put your type on there, do what you want with the font and the color and all of that kind of thing, right? I'm using this Share Tech font. Enable local fonts. Yeah, sure, whatever. Sorry. Let's not do that. Let's go back. All right. Let me get my button here. Okay. So I'm using a font called Share Tech. It's a Google font. You could use whatever you want, but I'm using this Share Tech font right here, and that looks good to me. I might tinker with my fill color a little bit. All right. Cool. All right. So now what I'm going to do is just make sure that that's all. I'm going to select all of that, and I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to group the selection. Okay. So that is now, and I could even call it, button up here or whatever, but I'll just leave it like that. Now here's where we get into the whole component thing. Now that I have designed this is like a style of button that I could use kind of over and over and over if I was working on an app, a layout. I'm going to come up here to the top middle where you see these quad diamonds. There are 4 diamonds together, and it says Create Component right up there. I have that button selected, and I'm going to do Create Component. And now over here on the left-hand side, and it was called Group 1. I might get in here and just call that Base Button. I'm going to change the name of that. And you'll notice it's marked with those quad diamonds. That means it is a component. Now, I'm going to show you real quickly what components will do for you. If I click over here where it says Assets, you'll see that button is called Base Button. It's sitting there in this Assets panel. And if I were making a bigger design that's going to have a lot of different screens and I'm working with all kinds of connectivity, and I'm going to have a whole bunch of buttons in a design that I'm making, I could come over here to the Assets panel and I could drag out what's called an instance, or what I tend to call them is this one is a child of this one up here. This one up here is the actual component. This is just kind of an instance or a child of the parent. This is the parent, and this is the child. I'm going to show you something in a minute that will help that make sense. And I'm going to drag out one more of these. All right. So the first one that I marked as a component is the parent, and then these two that I dragged out of the asset panel are children of this parent. Right? That's a good way to think about it. All right. Now, if I go back over here to the layers and I look at how they're designated, you'll see the parent, the one that is the component, has those quad diamonds right there. And you can tell that is the component object. These have a single diamond that is not filled in, and so that kind of tips you off that these others are children of the parent that's right here. Now I want to show you something that is true with components. This is why components are good. If I were to come along here and select the parent component, the master component, you could also kind of think of them a little bit as like master and slave, although people don't like that terminology, right? So I'll go with parent and child. All right, so I click on the master, and I say, you know what, I'm going to double click that. And I've decided I want to change that blue a little bit. I'll double click on the rectangle, and I'll come over here to fill, and I'll change the blue a little bit. I didn't quite get the right color blue. The thing I want to show you is look at the children. Are you watching the children? Look what's happening there. If I make a change to the component, to the master component, it also changes the instances of that component, or what I'm considering the children of that component. Oh, all right. So I can make a change in the color of that button or whatever other aspect of it I want. And if I make the change to the parent, then the children adopt that change. So I'm going to leave it as kind of this like gray color right here, and I'll go ahead and close that. Now, I want to show you an exception to that rule. If I come down here and I'm selecting one of the children, all right, what if I don't want that to say button right there? What if I wanted to say something like, I don't know, let's say, I'm going to get in there and I'm going to double click a couple of times to get in there, and I'm going to make that say cart. Right, like when you're shopping online and you want to go to the cart, and I'll take that. I'll use my arrow tool here, and I'll get that, deselect that, and get that. I would like to get that centered. I surely can do that, can I? Can I not do it? Yes, I'm sure that I can. We'll get in there and boom, and nudge that over. Maybe it's not wanting to center. Okay, we'll not worry about that just yet. I should have done that on the originals. I should doink, center, and okay. Anyway, that's okay for right now. That'll be fine. So I just wanted to show you that on the children, you can come along here and you can say, check out, and that could I could take that probably and make that slightly smaller if I wanted to, and so I can make changes to the child objects. Right, that's still legal to do that. I get away with doing that. But if I come up here and I make a change to an aspect of the parent object, it's going, like I showed you a moment ago, it's going to affect the children down here. All right. Now I could probably do a better job of actually getting things like centered and lined up, but we'll not worry about that too much today. So this is one of the things. This is the parent up here at the top, and then this is a child, and this is a child, and I want you to do a similar thing right there. All right, so I'm just going to come along here and kind of go draw a little line in here that I'm going to separate out. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, but you can. All right, so next up, we're going to real quickly make like a next button. And I'm not going to do anything fancy. I'm going to draw a circle, kind of like that. And I might add a reasonably thick stroke to that circle. I might move that to the outside, and let's see if I can take... can I subtract that fill? Yeah, I just subtracted the fill off of there. So what I've got is a circle that's just like a ring. There's no fill in there, and I kind of like it, right? I don't think I want to arc that, although that could be fun. And then the only other thing I'm going to add to this is I'm going to draw a triangle here. I want to get those things. I'm using my align tools here to align them. I also want to take this triangle and rotate it. Do I want 90? No, I want actually minus 90, so I'll Control Z, and I'm going to do a minus 90 on that rotation. Oh, that's my fault. I hit minus and it zoomed out. There we go, minus 90, boom. All right, and I might fill that with black. All right, so let's say that this is like a next button. I'm going to go ahead and select those, and I'm going to right-click and group selection, and I've got this is like a next button. Okay, I'm going to make a component out of it. I'll go up to the quad diamonds up here. Boom. And over on the left-hand side, it says Group 1 here. I'm going to change that to Next BTN, right? I'll just call it Next Button. Take my caps lock off here. And anytime you see over here on the Layers panel, anytime you see the 4 diamonds, the quad diamonds there, you know that is a component. If I go to my Assets panel, I'll see that I have that Next Button asset in there, and I can drag out children of that button. Boom, boom. And I could make some changes on those if I wanted to. Like if I double click on that triangle and say, okay, on this child copy, let's make that red. Close. And on this child copy, maybe let's double click on that triangle and maybe we make that blue. Boom. Right? But if I come along here and I click on the parent, this is the parent, right? And you can tell over here on the Layers panel, if I click on it and it's got those 4 diamonds right there, that is the component, that's the parent, right? And if I were to come along there and I make some kind of change on that, like maybe I click on this ring that I have around the outside and I say, oh, let's change that to a gray color. Look how it's changing all 3 of them. You see that? Right? I'm making a change to the parent component, and it's changing the children that depend on the qualities of that parent. Okay, so I want you to do something like that, right? I want you to make like a next button, make a component, make 2 children of it, make a slight change on the children down here, come up with something that you can do, right? Like I did, all I did was change the color of the triangle there and here. All right, so that's done. Let's move on. I'm going to make Again, you don't have to draw lines in here. I'm just doing it because I feel like it. It's just me. All right. Text. We're going to do the same kind of idea with text. Let me get the type tool here. And I'm going to click, and I'm going to just type. This is just going to say text style 1. Okay. Got it. Now, when you get it on there, when you type that and you get it on there, do some things with it. Let's style it up some. Like I'm going to, I think there's a font called Slacky, yeah, boom. All right, and that's what it looks like right there. All right, cool. And then, again, do some things with the text. Find a font. That's one thing you can do. Get a color, right? Go get a color. I'm going to get kind of a bluish color like that, kind of a light blue. Boom, that's a fill color that I put on there. I'm going to add a stroke to it. I'll make my stroke, I don't want it to be too thick. I'm going to make it about 3, I think. And I'll maybe add a drop shadow, right? I'll add an effect, I'll add a drop shadow. I don't want it to be anything super dramatic. I might just bring the opacity up a little bit. All right. So you see this? It's got kind of that light blue fill. It's got a black stroke. It is a certain font, right? And it's got a drop shadow. All right. So I'm gonna make a component out of it. I'm gonna come up here and click those 4 diamonds, and I just made a component out of it. If you look over on the left-hand side on the layer panel, you'll see it says text style 1, and it's got the quad diamonds there, indicating that that is a component. All right, and if I go to my assets panel, it's in there. All right, so again, what I want you to do here is let's pull out a couple of instances of that. Let's pull out a couple of children. And they're going to look just like the parent to begin with, but I can come along here and I can double click and get in there, and this could say, I don't know, what do you want it to say? We could make that say home. I'm thinking about things you might typically see on an app, right? Let's say, I don't know, images, right? So even though they're linked to the parent, I can make them say something else. But the thing that did for me is it helped me with all the styling, right? They have that same font, they have the same color, they have the same stroke, they have the same effect, the same drop shadow. Right, and if I were to come up here and take this, if I were to double click on this parent component up here and say, okay, well, you know what? I think I want to change the color of that. Oh, look, see, it's what I showed you before. If I change an aspect of the parent, like fill color or stroke color or even the stroke width, let's say that I come up here, I change it to a green, okay, and then I say, all right, I want to make that stroke 5. Doom. And they all changed, right? They all got a stroke of 5 because these down here are children of this parent right up here. All right, now I'm going to draw a line here one more time. Boom, and make that a little bit thicker. Boom. All right, now the only other thing, and I don't know that you need to watch me do this, but I want another text style. I want you to do another text style. Just take the type tool, click over here. This is just going to say text style 2. But you got to do something different. All right? That is my requirement today. You have to, on this text style 2, you go get a different font, right? And don't be weenies about this. Get in there and play around a little bit. What do we got here? Ovo. That's pretty plain. I'm not sure I like that a whole lot. Wow, that sounds okay. That's kind of a fancy looking serif font. It's got those nice little serifs hanging off of it. So there's that. I've got that. And let's say that I want that to be red. And even if it's just that, right? I got a font and I got a color. Okay. So let's turn that into a component. Boom. And then if you look over here if you're on your assets tab right here, that component has been added, and I can drag out 2 instances to be children of that. Boom, there we go. And then we got to change them up a little bit. That's part of the assignment as well. Let's not just leave that like that. Let's get in there and like triple click on it, and let's make that say videos. Again, I'm just thinking of things that you might see on an app. What might you see? Home, images, videos. Again, the idea of go to cart, right? The text could say any number of things. And again, just proving to you here, these are children, where it says videos and cart. These are children of this parent right here. And if I make a change, if I get in here and I select that and I say, you know what, change my mind about the color. See, I make a change to the parent, and it changes, let's go purple. I make a change to the parent, and it changes the children. Bingo. So this is the kind of thing I want you to do. You're going to create a base button and then pull out a couple of children and maybe change what they say. You're going to make a next button and turn that into a component, and then pull out a couple of children of that next button and make a slight change to it. You're going to make a type style, turn it into a component, pull out a couple of children here, right? Because they are inheriting the aspects of the parent. And then same thing here, a new text style that has to be different than the first one. It can't be the same kind of thing. You got to switch it up, change the font, change the color, do all, whatever it is you're going to do. And a couple of children of that one as well. And there it is. We've got it. Then you would be ready to share and make sure it's anyone with the link, and copy the link and turn that in. Whew. Okay, let's roll.